Okay, so today I am just going to the screen. We're just going to show you some items that we sold. I'm going to list the information. I picked a bunch today, I guess just a broad range of stuff. I threw in a couple records, tobacco, there's labels and paper. I don't remember if I put any toys in here. We did sell some toys. I did even sell some clothing, some decent clothing. It was just a broad mix of stuff. Records, as I said, clothing, toys. Some dolls went this week, Christmas items, ornaments, some books, models, just across the gamut. I mean, whatever I can think of, I'm sure we sold some of everything this week. It was a pretty big week, actually. So, and we had a couple $1,000 days this week as well, too. So, anyway, the first one here, this inner label. This was up for a while, so I just threw it at an auction, set the price that I wanted to get out of it. Now, I've just got like $1 or something into most every label on here. I get them dirt cheap, as I've said. This is in the Collectibles, advertising, merchandise, memorabilia, Victorian trade cards, and then other. And then when I put them for my store settings, I actually list them in tobacco section and trade cards. That way I double get the information. So once they're in my store, they can look that I have others. And literally in the description on all these, I put that, I have others up too. So that'll give them a good plus on looking to see what else I have. And the person who bought this one has bought from me for like 2 or 3 years. All just exclusively tobacco labels. That's all he buys from me. He bought several this time. I had a couple people that bought like 10, 12 items a piece too this past week. So, and then a ton that usually do the usual 2 or 3 items at a time. So here's another one, $34. It had some bids on it. Again, I've talked about this in the price guide. This one went in the same section. This one I listed in Collectibles, Tobacciana, cigars, and then labels. I'm not sure if I pronounced Tobacciana right or not, but anyway, you can get the gist of it. Easy enough to find. I'll do that philosophy too. If I've got like 10 of something, I'll list half in one category, half in the other category, and then state on the listings that, hey, I've got more listed up now as well. And that'll get them to want to look, especially if they like the one item they're looking at to start off with. So that's how you play the game on getting them in several categories. Just list some of your items in one category and some of the exact same category items in another category, because a lot of items like this can go in 2 different categories. So just keep that in mind. That's a play on, not having to pay the extra fees for things like that too. Now, I sold a bunch of comic books. I sold, I think, 4 or 5 lots, as well as a bunch of individual ones. I just threw up a couple because they're not like key issues of anything. It's not like a super thing. This is Volume 3, 3rd series, number 1 from '87, and I got $10 for it, and that's a hair over average. They're not huge movers just because they're new, and there's 2 other series before it. So anyway, and this one went in Collectibles Comics Copper Age, which is 84 to 91, superheroes, and then there's a Silver Surfer section as well too. So that's where this one went into. Let's move on to the next one. Frank Sinatra, and I've talked about this before. Sinatra records sell on here. This one went in just music records, and then I did some item specifics for 78 RPM, a single, which is the duration, the record size is 10 inches, and then the genre is jazz for this one here. Oh, I'll take that back. In most of these early ones, I pretty much only mess with jazz, and you can put big band and these crooners in that same category. You can see the condition. I do list specifically in the VJM category for records, which goes by E- and E. If you don't know that, I've discussed that in some videos, and in some places I do have copies of those posted. My Patreon group has access to all that as well, too. Let me see here. Next one. This is Victorian, or advertising, merchandise, memorabilia, and then Victorian trade cards, and then other. And I list almost all of them in other, no matter what they are. That way I don't have to change categories for like coffee or shoes or whatever the case. And they're always found. There's just a generalized section too you can list them in. So, whatever works. This one was on sale. I sold it for $19 and I think 6 cents or some screwball number like that. So, again, this is a cheaper one. It's about the size of a postcard. It's a decent one. We started putting some actual dimensions on here instead of having the ruler, just because we're trying to advertise them in a different aspect now. Some people like to see the ruler, some don't, but I think overall we're going to attempt this on some listings just to see where it gets us. So anyway, Now here's a steamship label, collectibles, transportation, boats and ships, cruise ships and ocean liners, and then other cruise ship collectibles. On airlines, I believe there is a label section, but this one here you have to list that way. I took 20 on this one here. It was up for a little while, but no big deal. It has a few condition issues as well. So anyway, pretty good sale, pretty good label, either way you look at it. Let's move on to the next item. Now this one has poppies on them. It's 2 actual cards. They could just be like bookmarks or sections of a card. I am not sure which. It's kind of hard to say. They're really nice images, well executed. I think they're pretty nice anyway. And I did take $17.50 for them. These are just in the Victorian trade card, other Victorian trade cards section, as most of those are. Let's move on to the next one here. Now this is a tobacco label. It's a small one. It'd be like a sticker for advertising more than anything else, like a poster stamp almost. Again, I listed this in Victorian trade cards, other Victorian trade cards. So anyway, that was a pretty good. This one sold for $35. And the next item here is just another trade card. It's in the Victorian trade card section, other. And these kind of sell all the time. These whale ones, there's a ton of different varieties. There's one that's worth hundreds of dollars. I've only had it once. It's a very specific variety, but all of these usually sell from say $8 to say $15 an average. This one I did sell for $22.50. Next one here. Now this is a lovely Christmas card. Now I listed this one in the Victorian trade cards other section because it's Lion Coffee, but you could also have listed this in the Christmas card section as well, and it might have done just as well. This one did sell for $37.50 straight out. Next one here. This is Heinz Ketchup, the same company. They made like apple cider and cider extracts and things. You can see the bottle there. It's a set of 4. 2 of them have some bad damage to it. So I did take $57.50 on this actually. So, and you can see the damage there. It's pretty drastic on 2 of the cards. Again, Victorian trade cards, other Victorian trade cards. This one is under collectibles, Tobacciana, cigars, and then labels. And this one I took $25 on. Again, people that buy these buy the same items from me for years and years because we sell routinely those type of items. Now this is a year pin, 25-year pin. If it was solid gold, I would have got a lot more out of this. But this one went in collectibles, pinbacks, bobbleheads, and lunchboxes, which is one little section, and then pinbacks and then awards specifically. And this one did go for $20. These are like 50 cents a dollar items. This is books, magazines, back issues is where this one went. I marked it down. It had several watchers, and it did sell for $17.15. And these usually go for $8 or $10 at most, sometimes $6 range. But the condition's good. I just weighed it out, as long as you've got the information on who's important on it. Connie Stevens, Elvis, and Margaret. I mean, these are all key players back in that era to help the genre. These items do sell better because of that. This is under collectibles, religion and spirituality, Christianity, and then metals. That's what this one is under, and it did sell for $30. I had a couple questions. It was on one of the items that I marked down because I had a bunch of watchers, and before I could even answer the question, someone else bought it, so that was a good plus. This one here is collectibles, comics, and then Silver Age. Now Silver Age is 1956 through 69, usually 12-cent covers. And then Superhero, and then Submariner, and I got $10 out of it. That's average, or like $6-8 for this issue, so no big deal on that one. This is another Victorian trade cards other. This could have been in transportation because it's for a steamship liner to Coney Island, Glen Island. You can see Manhattan Beach, Coney Island. This one did sell for $45 actually on that one, so I was happy on that. This one I took $12.50 on. It's in the collectibles, transportation, aviation, airlines, and then other airline collectibles, $12.50. So, and I've got 50 cents or a dollar into it, so $12.50. I'm still making almost $10 profit at that point. So good item. You can see it's a nice original label. Let's move on to the next one. Now this one came from an estate of an 82-year-old man that was actually going in a nursing home, and he wanted to liquidate some of his collection. I paid a few bucks for it is all. I did take $75 on it. I didn't think it would sell that high. I was shocked when it was gone within a few hours. It doesn't mean I put it too low. The right person was on. I don't think it's worth much more than that. I would have loved to have sold it for higher, but at $75, that's still pretty high. But to know that this is a Salvation Army, all these items go together. Blood and Fire is one of their publications. The War Cry is one of theirs. These are all instruments you would see with the Salvation Army bands and instruments that would be raising money wearing these outfits. So 1880s, 90s era. This is a nice piece. Again, I got like $70 profit off of that one piece alone. Next one here. Now this is a tobacco card kind of thing. I took $58.50 on it. There's no way to know exactly what this one is worth. He's some type of performer. I'm not really sure what he does. He could be some sports one, but either way, I've had it up for a while. There was some watchers, and there had been watchers for a long time. I said, what the heck? I blew it out for 50 some odd bucks, just under 60, and I made over $50 profit after everything is paid off. The fees, the listing fees, taxes, whatever else, it's all gone. All paid for, and then I made a real good profit. Let's see the next item here. Now, this is a pretty nice necklace here. This one went in jewelry, watches, and then vintage and antique jewelry, and then costume, and then retro vintage 1930s through 80s, and then necklaces and pendants. Nice piece. It did sell for $27.50 just as you see it. I was quite surprised. Usually I take less than that in most of these. Some of them I'm pretty firm on if they're nice and they look like it's a good condition. It is missing, it says 2 stones. Was it actually missing 2 stones? I don't think it's that. I think somebody forgot to change that because I don't remember it missing any stones. But either way, if there's any issues with it, they'll be happy knowing nothing's missing. So either way, $27.50. I got like $1 into this thing. It's 1940s, 50s. It might even be as early as the 30s. But anyway, nice item, good profit. If you just added up what I've sold just so far, you can see it's a lot of money. We do very, very well. We had a couple $1,000 days just this past week. So I can't complain at all on what we're selling. This one's books, antique and collectible books. I took, $58.50 on this one. Now, it's been up a while. I look at all the sites before I take an offer. I looked at a lot of the book sites. These just aren't selling. I put it up as a lark. I knew it would sell at some point. Who knows? Somebody might have bought it at the full price, so I always take a shot at it. So, I took about a third of what it was, and I don't do that with everything. This one, I just put a higher price on it and figured, what the heck? I'm in no hurry. I've got $1 or $2 into it, so, 50 cents into listing it or some price like that. So, yeah, I can't complain on stuff like that. Now, this one, I've got a dozen or so of this card. They came with a $10 offer. I came back at $17.50, and they did take it at $17.50 with no argument. So, I'll wait till this one's been up or, down for a day or two, and then I'll relist it again. Same card. Now, I paid just a couple bucks because the cards were all the same. And this was from a dealer who had a bunch of vintage ones that he wanted some good money for, and I wasn't going to pay that for them. They might have been worth it. I could have made a few bucks, but it's not the profit margin I like, so I passed it up. This one's in Collectibles Postcards, U.S. states, cities, and towns, and then California. So again, I'll make maybe 100 and some odd bucks off of this couple dollar purchase. All the same card. And it's not the only one I bought like this. I'll buy California cards, in multiple stacks. And usually you can get them much cheaper when you're buying multiples of the same one because they're like, what are you going to do with that? They know you're a dealer when you're doing that. So, you can say you're going to long haul them out and hope you can sell them or, whatever you want to sell them. You don't have to sell them anything. You just collect them. Who knows? That's your call. But anyway, good item. I'm going to make a ton of money off just that one little simpleton purchase. And again, I've got other cards that I purchased multiple that I've sold others out of them as well, too. And, some people buy a couple of them at a time if I do list them up, and then I won't sell any for a while. So I'd rather just space them out, sell them for a little higher. At least that's my philosophy. Now, I showed this in a haul. I had a couple of these, paid $1 or $2 for each one. They had some damage. It was missing the back stand-up piece, but you can see the ring for it where it's missing right there. I just yanked it off. It was actually bent, and I don't want to mess with it, so I just yanked it off. I took $45 on this one. I think I got about $30 or so on the other one. So altogether, we made $65 profit off of these two. This is Collectibles, Cultures and Ethnicities, and then Middle Eastern. Typical category. I list quite a few things in that category, believe it or not. I'm going to show a few records here and there. This one I sold for $40. It was up for like a day and a half. Average price on this record is like $20 to $24. You can look it up, Pop Psych or on eBay, either one. So I took $40. I felt comfortable with that. I list them higher. Sometimes they sell for $75. Other times they don't. It just depends on who's online and who wants it or who sees it at the time and doesn't want a chance risking searching for another one or waiting. They just want to get it. So, that's why I don't worry about the prices on some of those as well either. That was just Records Collectibles. R&B is the genre. It's a 7-inch disc. It's a single, and it's a 45 RPM. So hopefully that answers that on the categories. This category here is collectibles, photographic images, vintage and antique, which is pre-1940, and then other antique photographs. Now, I've showed some of these. I had a haul where I got like a half a dozen of this same little girl in Christmas outfits and then in Halloween outfits. This one's borderline where I could have almost marketed this, but who knows if it would even been worth messing with my time. I'd rather mess with my own artwork, honestly, so even if it doesn't sell much, I still feel better about doing my own stuff. It's a neat experience. But anyway, it went for $28.50, as I've sold many of these. Got a couple bucks into all of them, including Christmas. I've sold a couple to Christmas. We've probably made like $125 out of that $2 or $3 purchase from an estate sale. So anyway, you know, I can't quibble on stuff like that. And the next item, another roller skating label. This one I took 30 on. Collectibles, advertising, merchandise and memorabilia, and the labels category. And I love that category. I list in it all the time. I got other labels here we sold, so you'll see some other ones as well. This is toys and hobbies, action figures, and then military and adventure. This is vintage G.I. Joe. I showed this one in a haul. I made like, I don't know, a couple $100, like $300 or $400 off of this purchase for like 15 or 20 bucks. And I've been selling parts from it ever since. Most of it's gone already. I might blow them out just to clear the space out at this point because I got nothing into them, and they're bigger items. Not all of them, but you know, we're going to make some still good money on the leftovers. Again, those simpleton purchases of broken items sell very well. Broken arm, the gun that's laying down there's broken. It's got some pieces missing. It's all listed up in there. Still got 20 bucks for it. Just took like 4 or 5 minutes to pack, so I can't argue on that for the amount of time I have into it. Let's see, another cigar or roller skating label. I took 30 a piece on 2 to the same person. That one and then this one. And again, these are collectibles, advertising, merchandise and memorabilia, and then labels. And I have these all the time. I mean, you've seen them in most of my videos. I'm like the #1 seller of those, I think, on all of eBay at this point. This one's by a lithography company. They did banknotes, which would be your bills, your money. It was more private pressed ones. They did a lot of checkbooks and things like that. This one I took 30 on. I listed it in collectibles, the Victorian trade card section. And I'll just go over that real quick. Collectibles, then under advertising, and then under merchandise and memorabilia, and then Victorian trade cards. And then you can pick, there's 3 or 4 subcategories in there as well, too. But either way, it was a good item for us. Let's see here. Now this is Victorian trade cards as well too. I like that section for these items. This is actually a broom wrap. You would stitch it around, or it would be looped around with thread around a broom to make the broom look fancier. It would keep it together, and it would help your brooms to last a lot longer back in the day because they were natural bristles. I knew instantly what it was from the front just by the holes and the way the shape is. You've seen a couple of these, you've seen them all, I guess you could say. I took 30 for it. It was up for a little while. 15, 20 bucks is the average I see them on. This one was in exceptional condition other than a curl right down there, which you can see. And I could have messed with that, but it just wasn't worth all of it. Whisk broom holder is what it says. You can actually either mount this to the wall for this example, or there's some that literally tie around the broom as well, too. So many different options or varieties of things you can do with this. But again, 30 bucks. I think I paid $2 for this at a show somewhere. And this I had for a while. I didn't list it till like 4 or 5 months ago. Well, maybe longer than that. Hard to tell on this one here. I'd have to look it up on my sheet, but anyway. Now this one I've showed in a haul. This is collectibles, tools, hardware, and locks, and then locks and keys. And I do sell a lot in that category quite often. This was from a haul that I actually showed in a video. I got a quarter or something into each one of these. There's 2 in the slot. They sold straight out at $17.50. They weren't up but 2 or 3 weeks. And it actually sold. I was surprised. I thought I would have to take an offer on them for like 10, and that's what I actually quoted that I'd probably get out of these. But I did sell them for $17.50, so I made almost $15 profit after all my fees, my taxes, my labor, the cost of the item, and everything. So literally, that's what I take home is $15 off of these 2 little pieces after said and done. And that's what you want to do. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. I'm not going to just go to the screen in every video here. My kids have some people over and stuff, so I wanted to let them have some fun. My one son was out for fall break and stuff, so there's been other people running around the house today and the last couple days. So anyway, just a little stray from my usual video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit that bell icon to be notified when we post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.